All right, local market looking good here at 2:30, close to 20 to 3 in Sydney, up by 1.4%. Energy is the laggard in terms of market sectors. Peter McGuire from XM is joining us now. Peter, what do you make of today's trade given the losses that we saw yesterday to start the new year?
Well, I tell you what, and good afternoon, Nadine. It's like a yo-yo, isn't it? And when you're looking at what happened yesterday, it was a very soft day and quite dismal. And then today, it's 1.4% bid up, so that's a very strong move. And it's embraced all of Asia. I think the only market down at the moment, I just had a quick look, I think was Japan, but Hong Kong's well up, China's up, and the overall theme is onward and upward. So let's see if it maintains and how it washes across to Eurozone today, England, and then, the Yanks tonight.
Yeah, all right. Well, plenty of time between now and then. But
Yes.
to your point, Japan had a PMI out that was pretty depressing. So perhaps we'll just leave that there. Why do you think we're seeing this optimism in China, considering there's so many unknowns with how the COVID reopening will, eventuate?
Yeah, exactly, Nadine. Well, look, I'm a bit older than you, and I haven't lived through any other pandemics. And when you've got the second largest economy in the world opening back up, we're not sure how that's going to impact not only from a domestic standpoint, but more importantly from an international standpoint. Tourism, trade, and the general well-being of the economy. So, are we going to see a return to strong equity prices there? What's the mood going to be as far as property sector and so on? So I think we've just got to live through it. And as I mentioned to you the other day, I don't think we're going to see a lot of news come out of China over the next couple of weeks before Lunar New Year. I think it'll be a time of just, open the doors. Let's get some movement to the upside if they can, as far as positiveness and a confidence factor. And then when they come back, the second week of February, then I think it could be a little bit stronger for Chinese domestically then.
Okay, so we will continue to keep one eye trained on China. The US dollar steamrolled pretty much every other currency in 2022. Had a good night last night. Where's it headed?
Well, it was a little bit bid up, and you've got to, but when you're seeing that, the euro back at about 105, 1.05, and you've had the yen really come down to 130. But I think that possibly that it's still going to be range bound. I haven't lost my more or less view on it, and I think it's going to be a 101 US dollar index to 105, that sort of bandwidth. I want to see what happens as far as the ECB, if they're raising rates, 50 basis points more or less baked in later in the week. So, I just want to get a feel. I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit further softness to the US dollar, but I've just got to live through it and keep an eye on gold, Nadine, and silver.
Okay, well, what is the outlook for gold and silver in your view, Peter? Gold has held up quite well to start the new year.
Oh, it's been, that was really the showstopper yesterday, and silver, they were really, incredible. And now you've got gold sitting at about 1852, 1853. It's had a nice move, very solid. So I won't be surprised to take, further upside. I think you look at the macro themes, Nadine, and I think that there's some weakness across many different sectors, and I think that really underpins the gold story and certainly silver. And you've got to look at what central banks have done over the last 6 months as far as purchases. That's really knocked the ball out of the park. Massive purchases. So if the central banks are buying, I think retail is going to buy, and certainly Asia and India are going to be at the forefront of that. And I think global demand is going to really increase. I'm not suggesting paper markets, I'm talking about physical, and the man and woman on the street embracing it and having more under their bed, so to speak.
Okay, yes, silver is one. I had a conversation with the CEO of Silver Mines here in Australia, and he was talking about it being essentially a critical mineral, and the government is treating it as such. And look, it's also used in all of these decarbonization technologies. So you reckon this could be a really good year for silver?
I do, Nadine, and I'd love to see that interview, by the way. And the story is that naturally from industrial demand, and not so much from jewelry, but as it has a very large footprint across that sector, the issue is that you've had underinvestment and there's a critical shortage globally as far as silver. So that's not a good sign. from a great sign if you're a producer, but that's really going to, I think, add more horsepower to the upside as far as price. So yeah, it could be the absolute standout. And still that gold to silver ratio, you've got silver sitting at about $24, gold at 18.50. It's, nowhere back to, that long-term ratio. And I wouldn't be surprised to see silver really have a giddy up over the next, say, 3 to 6 months.
Got it. Now, I know that oil, you know very well.
Mm-hmm.
I've spoke with a number of analysts so far this year that have said, it sounds dramatic so far this year, but yeah, over the past couple of days, who've said energy is so 2022. It's not the place you want to be. That story's played out. What do you think?
Well, I still believe you're going to see volatility in the sector and as far as price. And I don't think it's going to disappoint. And I think there's a lot of factors at play. The Saudi situation, what's happening with China opening back up. There's going to be an increase as far as demand come certainly by second quarter. And then the other side is the situation with OPEC. I read very deeply into the petrodollar issue and what's going on as far as alternative payment mechanisms with China and certainly Russia and Saudis. So I'm just thinking that I wouldn't be surprised to see another leg up for oil, and I'm still believing that 90 to 95, 100 is where you'll see Brent. And I think it'll be wild, it'll oscillate, and there'll be plenty of time for traders to really take advantage of those big swings.
Now tonight, FOMC minutes are due. We've got jobs still to look forward to. So we will have some economic data to hang our hats on. What are you going to be paying most attention to tonight in those FOMC minutes?
Oh, I just want to see the general rhetoric. I want to see the storyline. I want to, get a sense of, the sentiment. And I'm going to keep a very close eye on US dollar index. And the traders will tell me, what the movement is and what the momentum is. And that's a better from a hand on heart. I get a more of an opinion, not suggesting so much from the rhetoric, but more from what impact it has to the market prices, and then how that washes across to equity markets and so on. So yeah, keep an eye on it. Could be a very interesting evening, and I don't think 23 is going to disappoint from a volatility side.
Yeah, I don't either, but that keeps us both in business, doesn't it, Peter? So
you betcha.
Yeah, have a good afternoon. Thanks for joining us today.
Lovely to see you, Nadine. Thank you.
Peter McGuire from XM.